As a rookie enters the NFL, you have to keep a couple things in mind. Number one, when did their college season end? Did they go to a bowl game? Did they go into the playoff? If they went to the playoff, they played multiple additional games. They almost played close to a regular season NFL schedule. And then the other thing you have to consider is, did they go to the Senior Bowl? Were they invited to the East-West Shrine Bowl? Did they play multiple All-Star games? Those are additional traumas that they had to go through. They have to recover from those. In the meantime, right when they finish, typically within that week, the first weeks, they literally take no time off. They're transitioning into what we call combine training. So the NFL Combine is a big part of the scouting process. They are training to perform at that combine. And these are things like the 40-yard dash, the sprint drills, short shuttles, three-cone drills. These are very important drills that every team looks at. We look at the metrics, we look at the data, and we're trying to combine and compare and say who's going to be the next great NFL player, who's our next Hall of Famer. They're trying to find that. So the players structure, and they know how important this is, they structure their environment around how do I train best for this. So you'll see players go throughout the country and they'll go to specialized training facilities. They're really shifting focus to that. And then you throw into the mix, they have to go back and play football in these all-star games and then transition back into the combine training. And then they go into this thing that we call our top 30 visits. Every NFL team can bring in a certain number of collegiate players to visit their home facility. We can bring them in, we can take them through certain monitoring things, testing, we can interview them, we can put them through film sessions. It's basically a deep dive to where if we have questions about a certain player, we can really get them answered, look them in the eye, have a clean conversation with them, and say, all right, are you going to be a good fit for our organization and our culture? So as you go through that, that's great. Then the draft happens. Hopefully the player gets selected. If they become yours, you select them to your team. They come in. If you're a first or second round pick, you're usually flying in literally either that night or the next day. So they're on either a private jet or a commercial flight. They're showing up to your facility the next day. You're doing media, they're doing interviews, they're doing things like that. It's an exciting time. The players at that point are probably celebrating. They're in celebration mode with their families. It's a life-changing event. It's awesome. Like, enjoy that. But then they go into the mode of, oh shoot, I got to show up to rookie camp in a week or two. They're coming into the facility in a week or two. You have what's called a rookie minicamp. So you've had this player that's gone from a very stressful, very traumatic college season, which took 6 months. Then they go into training, which took months. Then they go into these all-star games. So they've dealt with trauma on a different level, from training for the combine and the combine drills, which is very different from football. And then they get thrown right back into the mix, and you got to go compete at full speed in a football scenario where you just got drafted to this team. You're clearly going to try to show up and impress everyone. So they're going to run fast, everything. The problem is they haven't been training properly for football. They've been training for certain drills that will help them get selected, and they have to. This is how the structure's set up. Then you transition to football, you see a lot of injury spikes. You see an increased risk and an increased occurrence of injuries during that specific period. They go through the remainder of the offseason, you break for a few weeks in summer, and then they come back to training camp. So you look at a calendar year for a college athlete, anywhere from the age of 20 up to even 25, 26 now. That athlete has literally went through a calendar year with very minimal time off. So from a physiological perspective, they have been breaking down, tearing down muscular tissue, trauma, all the things they've had to deal with, not just from football, but the training and everything else that revolves around that. So now when you go into the NFL, you're going to hear a rookie wall. It's a physical wall. It's a human wall. It's a physiological wall that any human would go through regardless of your age, because when you throw anyone through that much trauma in that short period, you're going to have issues, and it's going to be a miracle if you actually do show up, you survive the entire season, you produce at a high level. It's very rare that you see a lot of rookies walk in and actually have a dramatic impact and last and play every single game through a regular season, postseason schedule. Funny, I mean, there's a lot of funny stuff. Honestly, like, there's a respect level. I think you see this, and you see it within you see it in military guys, professional football, professional sports, other sports. One of the funny things that I've always seen, you see the sing-along, you see the players have to come up. So typically you'll see a rookie, the head coach will bring him up. All right, you state your name, you tell him your name, and then you say what college you went to. Here's the college, Ted Rath, University of Toledo, and you tell them your signing bonus. The top tier guys, the first round, first overall picks, saying 10, 20 million, the whole room's like, oh, because you're making already more money than a lot of those guys. And then they have to choose a song, and they're going to perform, in essence, for the entire team. So they'll ad-lib. You'll see some guys get up there, get very creative, dance, bring costumes, bring other guys from the team to help them dance. So you see players get pretty creative there, but that's the extent of the hazing that I've seen. And it's a funny thing that kind of bonds the whole team and helps everybody connect.